Yeah, that's been actually a really
You know?
nice um thing that's happened this year. Is, if I'm honest, man, all of those like written scripts and everything about
Mhm.
that for South America, and all the written scripts I did for social media videos before, they were like my way of writing myself to be quite cool, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Because when you know what it's like when you're writing, you're in charge of the narrative. And I found reading a script, I was like, I know that these words taken as read are like they will represent me well, you know.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. 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 One of my favorite comments that I saw there was the guy kind of saying like, it doesn't count if you don't like go through the Darien Gap.
yeah, I love that guy,
Mm.
Winston Applegate. Yeah, just
Like I'm sure he's just joking, but like it's still kind of like I think it. But even if that particular commenter was just like
he's not joking. He's not
no,
joking.
he's not
Winston,
joking. He's
no,
serious. Like he's
dude,
like, no, you got to go through the Darien Gap, otherwise, what the hell is it?
read through his comments after it. He has been fighting a battle in my comment section for 2 months. He has been battling and he has been trying to convince people. He's just like, no, I'm sorry, this guy, he's not. He's a phony. So fucking funny.
He's a phony.
This
And
guy's a
there's sharks like
phony.
in South America, like freezing inside a three-wheel stuck.
I know. It's like, you should have seen us in Patagonia. And also, I love the fact his name is Winston Applegate the Third.
That's why I think he's joking. I think his whole thing is like, I'm just going to go into the comment sections and be like a contrarian.
It's a good point. Maybe he is, but whoever he is, I actually really do. That's one of my favorite comments I've had this year. Is
Mhm.
him being like, "Sorry, sorry, you can't say you've been from south to north if you don't go through the Darien Gap." I love it. I think it's good.
He just wants to see you
That's
die.
been another good thing, man. Like leaning into because I even like the comments. I'm getting quite a few comments on like looking like the love child. People will say, "Oh, you look like the love child of," and then insert like not too handsome people or whatever. And then you read it and you go back, and I've been leaning into just like, you've got to just, before I would just say like, oh, I take all the comments with a pinch of salt, but they would get me at some level. Like, there would be some ego that was hurt. But now I don't know what's happened recently, but there is a lot more of a fuck it mentality of like, what have I got to lose? You know?
See, I had this conversation with another writer friend of mine, and they said to me, you never comment on my stuff, but I always comment on your stuff. And I always like write long comments on your things, and I write 3 or 4. And whilst like obviously I'm very happy they do that. It's really nice of them to do that. But that doesn't mean that like I'm not reading their stuff. And I don't just mean like clap or like or highlight. I mean, like, I will actually read it and think about it and be like, oh, that's really good. But I just don't really, because I write about 6 or 7 articles today, plus like whatever other projects going on. And I don't have it in me to kind of like comment. Does that make sense? On their work? Because it's going to take actual time and brain power for me to kind of go like, this is what I think about you wrote. And I wish I could do that. For me, like with comments, kind of more back to the point is, when I'm commenting on another writer's piece, if I can't just say, that made me laugh, I loved it, thank you. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
if I can't just do that, that's kind of like all I've got. Because if I'm going more than that, I'm like, why am I commenting all these thoughts on his piece when I should be writing an article about what my comments are
Yeah.
on this topic? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So,
No, it's a good point.
so when I look at comments now from people, like I respect them all and everything, most of them, but it's I don't get bogged down on it too much. I used to, like you said there, I used to get really like angry if someone didn't understand my joke.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, "What? You don't get it? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, have you not lived?" And the point is like they probably have lived and lived more than me, but they've experienced more. Therefore, what I might be writing as they've come at it at a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like my version with it on Medium. But like on TikTok, I'm 100% sure that this guy is he's in there. That's part of his thing. That's his shtick.
It's
You know
like,
what I
yeah,
mean?
but to be fair, he must be having fun, man. He's having fun because I
Right.
mean, he's battling people. He's battling people hard, and some
Mhm.
people that is like, you have a long day at work and you get home and maybe just battling people in TikTok comment section is how you chill out. It's like,
Which
but
I
to be
don't do
fair,
that
he's
on
funny.
TikTok,
It's
dude. I don't do that on TikTok, and I don't do that on Medium. But you know where I do like
Twitter or something.
go battling with people on LinkedIn.
Ooh,
Like I will, if I see an educator who's like a snake oil salesman, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like selling fluency in 3 weeks, and they're citing some paper from Oxford from 1994 saying, "See, this proves my point. You can only do da 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 da." Like I will publicly call them out. Like there's this one guy right now, like I am in a DMs battle with him, like and just kind of saying like, dude, I don't care what you're doing, but like you're a 55-year-old man and you're making young teachers who are just getting into the game believe this because it reinforces like their feelings. Do you know what I mean? And even though their feelings are valid, they're not based on any papers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just using one thing. And whenever I see something like that, then I'll go into like an online kind of like battle on LinkedIn, you
Mm.
know? Like I won't do it on TikTok because like I'll leave that to the other guy that we just mentioned, but like I'll
Well, but
definitely do it on LinkedIn.
interestingly enough, though, like if you know that you're right, and it sounds like you are right, it sounds like selling fluency in 3 weeks is snake oil salesman tactics. Because
Yeah.
how? So is that what he's saying?
Yeah, no, he's saying so what he's saying first of all is he's saying that well, he has 3 published books, but none of them have any ratings on Goodreads or any of the websites, okay?
Yeah.
But he is technically a published author. And he's saying that he has 35 years of experience. And what he says is that, see, he's American. So what I think he did is he noticed that there's a change in Asia and Turkey and Africa right now where they're kind of not deplatforming, but they're taking native speaker teachers off the pedestal a small bit. And I think that's a really good thing because I think native teachers like myself, we're supplementary. You know, you've got the real Turk teacher in this case who's like got their masters and everything. They should be paid the most and they should have the most hours with the kid or whatever. And then like you're supplemental. You come in with communication skills and do different communication games or whatever like that. Okay. Like there's a bit of a yin and a yang to it. Okay. But
Um.
in the 2000s and 2010s, it became very kind of native teachers got more money. So I think he saw that they were kind of been taken off the pedestal a small bit. And he saw that like uh, teachers of the country, whether it be Turkish or Chinese or African, weren't very happy that these foreigners were coming in and getting paid more money just because they had a university degree from like Ireland, that's history, but they did a TEFL and CELTA cert. You know what I mean? Therefore, they
Mm.
make more money. But that doesn't really make sense in my world either. So I agree with that. But he like said, okay, I'm going to tap into that hatred. And my whole brand is going to be about saying how native teachers, such as myself or someone else, they're useless and they shouldn't teach English and blah 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 blah. And he's saying it as a native teacher to sell his book to those
Mm.
disenfranchised people.
Ah,
And I was
okay, I see.
texting him, and I was like, bro, I know what you're doing, and I'm like, you can do it, but like, just know that like you're creating this kind of weird division between two sets of teachers that should be working together. You know?
Interesting. Okay, well, if
Yeah.
if I was in your position, the thing is, I would see this as an opportunity. In that, like, you've stumbled onto something which is really in you know about it. It's
Mm.
like well known, and also it has an element of battling going on. And I'm not sure what other people's thoughts on this is, but immediately as soon as you started saying it, I was like, I would write down like the 3 or 4 bullet points which are your like key arguments against him, and I would actually make a TikTok about why uh,
Right.
he's a snake
Yeah.
oil salesman. And then, because realistically, like It's actually it plays into peak English because obviously you're trying to build a platform which eventually is going to be used, possibly, I guess, to market your peak English, like your English language courses and
Mhm.
stuff. It's linked to it a bit. Like
Yeah.
it might actually, it's got a chance of going to an audience of people who want to learn English, and you are right about what you're saying. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's
That's
definitely
what
true. I think
I'd jot down those bullet points, and then I'd spend a minute just hammering them home, and then I'd be,
yeah,
I'd be funny with it. Don't be lame. Be funny.
don't blame Peter. Yeah, I'm gonna wait until I get a little bit more. I love filming and editing and everything like that, and I love making jokes on camera, or I love having silly conversations, or just conversations like this one now that are kind of natural and fluid. But when it comes to like scripted content, that's like,
I wouldn't script it.
oh, no, but like when it comes to content that's kind of serious and can go somewhere, it's kind of like, oh, I gotta wait until
I wouldn't make it serious either.
okay, fine, I'll just
This is
do
a
it then.
tricky one. It's a tricky one because the thing is, like, yeah, I don't know. It's
Man, I just
it is
need to fill up my teacup.
yeah. Have some nice tea. That's a nice vintage of tea you've got there.
Thank you. It's from a little village in Western Anatolia called Izabay. It's Izabay red wine or tea.
Ooh, lovely. How is Turkish red wine tea?
Turkish tea is great. I was talking to Zara the other day about this, and I was like, you know, I don't think Turkey's like doing itself justice with its, how it, I don't know, how it pushes itself out to the public. You know, like there's Turkish Airlines and everything like that, and they push Cappadocia and Istanbul and Bodrum as like tourist kind of things, and I get that. But when I go out to the farms, like a friend of mine has a mushroom farm out close to where we are, and like when I go out there and to any of these places, the vineyards or to where they even just make jam, you know what I mean? I'm kind of like, this stuff is A plus.
Yeah.
Why isn't it being like, marketed outside of Turkey? And I kind of feel it's because of the name. It's either Turkey or Turkiye. And everyone knows like yogurt as Greek yogurt
Mm.
or Greek baklava or Greek olive. And as someone who's been to Greece, Italy, and Turkey, I can say that the Turks are a lot better at it,
Ooh.
you know? And I just think it's a marketing thing where I think they should change like the name to foods to like Anatolian
Yeah.
wine. Do you know what I mean? Like wine from the hills of Anatolia. Do you know, from the footsteps, like, the footsteps of the apostles. Because like, Jesus' apostles like walked through. Do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah. Yeah.
anything. I feel like they're great at the airplane, but like they need to like really get their food and olive oil out there because it is top notch.
Nice. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's an amazing country and huge. So many different what's the word? Ecosystems, terrains. You've got so many different habitats in Turkey, like your mountains, your beaches. Such a big country to explore.
Yeah. There's the Black Sea region, which is basically like the UK, Ireland, maybe flavors of I don't want to say the Nordic countries, but imagine the Nordic countries without snow. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
really kind of stark, vast mountains. Um, and then you have the East, which is also beautiful and historic, like Gaziantep. But where we want to go next is actually we want to watch Christopher Nolan's Odyssey in Troy. So this
Ooh.
summer, we're going to book our tickets and we're going to, because I think Troy is like 2 hours up the road from where we live. So we're going to go to the site of Troy. We're going
Mm.
to do the tourist thing. Then we're going to go up to Chanakale, visit Gallipoli, everything like that. Pay our respects to both sides. And then we're going to go back to Troy and we're going to watch the Odyssey there. And then I'm going to write an article about it. That's not why I'm doing it, but I kind of feel like I'd be dumb not to like take a load of pictures and write about that experience.
Yeah, that sounds sick.
Or
Yeah.
maybe take a video as well.
Yeah. God, you've got such cool history around you.
But
Ancient
so do you.
history as
I
well.
thought your video, that's a great idea. Visit something interesting within a kilometer of where you live and then expand it. I was actually thinking about copying that verbatim, like
Do
word
it.
for word,
Yeah.
except for except for the city map. Like I just draw it like me here,
Mm.
we go there, and then do it.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
it's easy. Oh, mate, that map was the easiest thing I've made. That map,
Mm,
it was just, I screenshotted Google Maps and I just
mm.
put it, the image straight into ChatGPT and I was like, make this into Lord of the Rings and put a search on my home.
I do that, man. I do that with so many other things, like for articles and stuff. Like I've got this fucking great idea right now about how I make money on LinkedIn, which is just it's so stupid, but it's funny. Um, but I'll do that with everything when it comes to writing. But when it comes to video, like I'm like, why am I not like doing this with video? You know, like I'm really good at like making real videos for things like with the teachers or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to like just myself, I don't know why I haven't like, all right, here we go.
A good thing is though, the good you're making quite a lot, which is like the best thing you can do is make a load of videos without trying to make them perfect or anything, and just experiment with stuff. Like you are making loads, and you've made more this year than I imagine you've ever made.
Yeah, because I put up the video of you, um, for some reason that took off
Yeah, it did
and
well.
then nothing happened. I think it was because of like, it was the hook at the beginning. It was like, dude. And then, talking about something. So it
Mm.
was like a really good kind of, I don't, yeah. So that was great. But then I had one video about my cat that also did really well. Like it got like tons of likes, but it didn't get a lot of views. Like it just stopped at 320 views, even though it was getting a ton of likes,
Yeah,
you know? And I was like, okay, this is weird. And then there's sometimes where it's just like 40 views, and then other times it'll just be 100.
yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely something where I'm kind of thinking in a month, I'm going to look through all those videos and I'm going to choose ones that I think are actually really good. And then I'm going to download them, delete it, and then make it better,
yeah.
and try again.
The good thing about TikTok is you might not even have to delete it to put it up there, because at the early stages, you're shouting into this echo chamber. And no one is going to be, if no one saw the video, then that means you can post the video again. You could post your changes again without even worrying that that video is up there, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
let's say
yeah.
40 people saw the first video, but it has the potential to do better. Like making those changes and posting again, you don't have to worry about anything which makes your life easier at this point. Anything which like streamlines you, um, like getting data from what you're making and then making slight modifications and putting it up there. Whatever streamlines that process is good, because
Yeah.
it's a rough period just shouting into the void for
That's why you try and make it fun, though. You always have to make it fun. Like, for example,
yeah.
if I see something that you've done and I think that's great, but wouldn't it be funny if I said that? So, like, I
Yeah,
will take the audio and
yeah,
then,
I've seen your videos. Yeah,
and, and then I will do it with your voice. And even though it doesn't make any sense, but like where I cut it, it's like, oh, that's silly. That's a silly video.
mm,
He's being silly. That's
yeah,
nice. We view that. You know what I mean? So it's like a very like quick, surefire way just to get stuff out there. And
yeah,
also, it's with articles, you might work on them for anywhere from like 3 months to 3 hours.
yeah.
So this is something where if I was doing 3 videos a week, I would not be against working on that video for 1 or 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Uh huh.
Before you put it out.
Yeah.
Because if it's like quality video, I'm not overly upset if no one sees it as long as it's a quality video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting, man. That's I burned out pretty quick on because I used to make like documentaries. Each video I would make for short form, because I had the interest and I really cared about making the quality video. Um, and sometimes that can work. I mean, I gained a big following from it, and
Mhm.
but in terms of like the watching other creators, what really did it for me was like when I put like 5-6 hours into a video, script it, color grade it, subtitles. Like to me, it's perfect, and then I put it out there, and it gets like even like gets 40,000 views or something, and 5,000 likes, which is like it's not bad, but it's not like life changing. And I can do that. I can maybe do that once a week, maybe that video
Yeah.
that quality if I'm. But then you'd go on to someone who was just nattering into the phone. And at first I would be angry at that person, or I'd be angry that the unfairness of it all. Like you'd have someone who just make 8 to 20 videos a week where they're just like they notice something and spend 20 seconds like, why are these pillows like this color? Like who made these pillows this color? And they send it up. And then the next one, and then that video gets 380,000 views. And I'm like, that's more than my past 5 like perfectly made videos put together. And then
Yeah.
but then you realize you're playing the wrong game, because like if you're gonna put effort into a video like what you're talking about, even like 5 hours, if I'm spending 5 hours on a video now, I want it to be on a platform which has the potential for it to live a long life, like YouTube.
Yeah.
Your TikTok video, if we're being generous, your TikTok video is its shelf life is it's a fart in the wind, and you can
Repurposing those videos for your own YouTube page.
the YouTube. I'm also reforming how I like approach YouTube now as well, because I've been saying I'm going to start a YouTube channel for 10 years now. So
Mhm.
it's getting pretty ridiculous. But
Mhm.
the stopping barrier is I make a YouTube video, I spend 4 days like making it like a documentary, and then I release it to the world, and then I just don't have um the what's it called, the mindset, the what's it called, the willpower. I don't have the willpower to make 40 high quality videos which get no love
Well, you
before
don't have to. That's what YouTube Shorts is so great. I would download your
yeah.
TikTok and then just put them on Shorts, and then
Yes.
once every 2 weeks put out a long form video.
Yeah, no, that would be better. I will do shorts as well, but I really do. I want to make long form YouTube videos. But then
Oh no, just until like you break monetization.
no, for sure. No,
Mm.
I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is like I want to find a way to make long form YouTube videos, which actually doesn't take um me days. There's ways to make YouTube videos which won't consume as much time as what I've currently been putting into it. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm happy right now with the relationship I have with content, because it's at the minute I'm spending no time doing it and they're getting shitloads of views, which is like perfect. And then you got to think about, okay, what's the next thing, because you don't want to just be working on that, because then you're basically just becoming very good at running on this constant treadmill. Because if you're good at TikTok or Instagram or Shorts, you're just very good at running on the treadmill. It's like, oh, I'm so good at running on this treadmill, but then
Oh,
the
it's the
minute
same with everyone, man.
no,
It's the
I know.
same with everyone.
No,
Yeah.
I know that's the same as everyone, but what I'm saying is like what I've realized is I need to be putting the majority of my work into stuff which lasts possibly forever, possibly 10 years,
Mm.
like a book or YouTube, and then the TikTok. So make sure that the 90% of effort's going into that thing, which can like live a life for forever. A book lives a life forever. Whereas the TikTok videos, make sure, because that you don't have to be on the treadmill with the book the whole time. You write the book, you release the book, you market the book a little bit, and then the book just lives there. Do you know what I mean? Whereas TikTok, you're on a treadmill the whole time. Like if you get
Mm.
off the treadmill for 10 days, your views drop, everything drops, you stop making money. So I realized I don't want to be that rat on the treadmill the whole time.
Yeah, I spoke to my brother about this maybe 2 or 3 days ago. There's something that we're trying to plan to do together, something weird. And I was telling him that I was talking to you, and I was telling you about Peak English and the TikTok, everything that I discussed with you as well. And he said, I don't think you're going to achieve that, you know? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, I know you, And he said, like, I think you can only be a teacher in, like, you have your network, and once you have your students, you're very serious about that, and you're very kind of, then you're very word of mouth. Like, from one student, then, like, he'll tell everyone about you. You know what I mean? He's like, you've never kind of gone out there and kind of said, "Hi, I'm Peter. I'm the fucking best." And blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? You've never had to do that. And he said, I don't think you're going to do that with TikTok, because you just can't do that unless you get someone else to do it for you. He said, I think what you're going to do with TikTok is that you're going to go as weird as possible. You're going to end up looking at what's popular on TikTok, and you're going to do the exact opposite and make it weird and uncomfortable.
Right.
You know? And I was like, yeah, that sounds really fun. You know what I mean? Just to have some, like, like an AI generated scanned image of a, you know, root man from Tír na Nog crying, shouting poetry at you to, like, epileptic lights, It's
Uh-huh.
like, going from, like, hey, have you heard about that pillow? And then you swipe up, go, you know what I mean? Something that's going to make you vomit. And that's something that, like, really excites me to have, because, like, TikTok is very, like, happy go lucky. It's also toxic. Like, there are toxic political shit on there, and there's, you know, other stuff as well, but then there's really great educational stuff like your stuff. But I'm like, God, I've never actually seen something that's just, like, really weird art. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It can work.
And
It can
that's
work.
something. Mm.
There's the best example of weird art I saw on TikTok recently was it's a Bristolian animation company, and they created like Wallace and Gromit style clay figures, but they did one about a vape. So it was this like crusting, like it's disgusting. Like they created this strange vape which sings this bizarre song about puff puff puff. It is like it's a disturbing image you're watching, and they've done so well.
I
Um,
love that.
but they've done something smart in that they combined. They're one of the guys is really musical, so he sang the song in this like, "Won't you just come and puff, puff, puff on the vape?" And then the other guy's a genius with the animation, and he's created this vape which is like leaking juices, and it just looks like this festering ball of just this thing you suck on to just poison humanity. Like it's disgusting, and they've managed to combine the creepy song with that vape. But yeah, that's the weirdest thing I saw on TikTok, which has also achieved um like widespread popularity. Where I was like, well done, boys. Like I didn't think
Mm.
that was possible.
Yeah, yeah, because his point was, I don't think you can run a full-time business and then make these educational videos unless they're, like, really spur of the moment, and, just you giving your thoughts on teaching whatever, and that takes off. But, like, he was like, it's either going to be that or it's going to be, like, weird shit. And I love making, like, weird videos for fun, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like, I love doing overlays. Like, I'll have, like, my father walking on the beach with a currach, and then I'll overlay it with, like, you know, um, a dinosaur, or do you know what I mean? And or just something unexpected, or me from 2004 kind of dancing in the background, but, like, it's all overlaid, then really uncomfortable music. And I just there's something about it. It's like 1990s Tool music video. Do you know? Do you know
Mhm.
Tool?
No.
A
But
Tool
I know
artist,
the
like an
sort of
American
style
rock
of
band.
video you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, well, the point is like, just he thinks I will do that more naturally in my off time than in my off time go into, like, teaching. you know?
Okay. Well,
He was like,
that sounds
still
like
be 100% into your teaching and doing homework and doing everything like that. But the minute you go on your off time, you won't actually do TikTok if you think it's work. That's his point.
yeah, 100%. Oh,
Yeah.
I made a video today which I haven't posted yet, which was you can only make videos on TikTok that you find fun. And then if the person watching you isn't, because we know when it's not fun. I've made loads of videos which are cool videos on the face of it, which I didn't actually end up having fun with because maybe the script wasn't right, or maybe it was my fourth or fifth time shooting the shot. Like whatever it was, the less fun I'm having during the video, the shitter the response will be every single time. Whereas if I'm having fun, it's always good. Because the thing is, man, like on TikTok, it's not like uh you're paying people to watch your videos. Like they're watching your videos for entertainment purposes generally, just to pass the time. So if
Can I ask you a
you
question, though?
huh?
Sorry to cut across you. Can I ask you a question? I keep getting these notifications from TikTok saying special promotion. You can promote this video for £3 or £4. What is that? Should someone do it?
No, don't. I mean, no. TikTok is like the king of organic growth. If you're paying to promote stuff, then generally you're selling stuff because that's the only reason why you'd pay to promote something is to get a return. You know. But no, if you do that, I mean, TikTok is the best organic growth platform in the world. Like
Mhm.
if you have to crack it yourself, and paying for it is it's not it's what's the old saying, like, oh, you're just only cheating yourself. It's like which means you're
Mhm.
not learning how to get the organic growth yourself. But TikTok is like it's incredible for that. So just don't pay.
Well, what would be your top 10 TikTok accounts to follow?
10, bloody hell, man. I don't know if I could. Tuck South there, right at the top there. No, I'd go. There's one guy.
Josh Porter
There's,
1, Josh Porter 2, Andy Porter,
yeah, he's wonderful. Andy Spangler is a
Andy
real
Spangley.
inspiration to me. Yeah, no, there is okay. There's one guy who I would say to follow and he's the only account I follow who does creator tips or how to grow X Y Z. I don't follow any of those accounts, but the one guy who is actually so good at it is Higher Up Wellness. That's his name.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Like
you tagged them today. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
tagged him. Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah,
he's now
yeah.
so many times I'm watching TikTok advice videos and I'm just like, just it's so much more simple than how you've portrayed it. But then he's a genius at deducing an idea down. He was an ex-salesman, so he knows how to present a hook and then present an idea to you quickly, and he knows what you want essentially. And some of his bits of advice this year, I mean, his advice this year has literally changed the way I make content. And I had like 220,000 followers before I found his video. And I found his video and I was like, this is just genius. It just makes so much sense. He's the best. That was his two bits of advice, which like really changed how I
What's
make
his
stuff.
name? Sorry to interrupt you again. What's his name?
His name's Higher Up Wellness.
Higher Up Wellness.
Wellness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm saying it out loud so anyone who wants to hear it can hear it.
It's he's a big help if you are interested in that world. But he gave two videos. One was on finding your flaw, and I think I talked to you about this before, but it was about find the lowest amount of work you'd be willing to do to put out one video a day, and then just don't do that for 365 days. So my flaw this year is I could at least chat into a phone for a minute about something I'm interested in. Like
Yeah.
it takes me, it's like 2 minutes of my day total to do it. So it's just no work at all. And then that completely has changed the way that like the regularity of my views now. They used to be like 200,000, 10,000 views for a week, 7 days, and then 200,000, 10,000. And now it's just constantly 100,000 views. Like my graph of my views is like this. And then sometimes it goes up, but never goes below 100,000 really. And that's all because of that idea.
Yeah, it's crazy what can happen when you listen to somebody who is constantly not creating for the algorithm, but like watching what the algorithm is doing and then taking what they do and just kind of change it a little bit. Do you know what I mean? and then send it back into that world because it's changing. Well, on Medium anyway, it seems to change every 6 months. But I was talking to Robin about this. I wasn't talking to her in depth about it, but it was just kind of Medium's changing. Certain things are doing well, okay, and then the things like we discussed last time, they're not doing so well, okay. So I was like, all right, what's doing well on Medium now? And she said that she's keeping her style, but she's formatting it differently. And if she sees this video, and I'm not, doing justice to how she explained it to me, but this is basically it. It's still like her, how she does it, but it's kind of like digestible. It's not an essay. Okay. And I was like, okay. So then I started kind of doing that with Gen X or millennial, or, how people poop around the world, different toilets that I've experienced in my life.
Mhm.
And as I was doing it, the toilet one, I was like, oh, no, wait, this is actually better as a writer. Because if I'm saying 7 ways people poo around the world, I now have number one, I'm going to tell you a funny story about Istanbul, and, the toilet is just one part of it. That's the hook. But I get to do a little mini essay there. That's maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs. Whereas before, I always looked at that format as I'm like, number one, you go, then you and you number two. But now it's like, I'm kind of seeing it the way that she does it and how she sees it is like number 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one is like its own little story in itself that you can enjoy as you write, And the minute I did that, the minute I published that, it did really well on Substack, but it took off on Medium straight away, and it basically saved my December, And I was just like, yes, okay. If this is what people
so it
are
makes it
happy
more
with,
it makes it more digestible.
well, yeah, it's kind of like if you do it and they click on it and it's like a BuzzFeed kind of list, you know what I mean? Like you said with the pillow, like, hey, well, one time I saw a toilet and it wasn't really a toilet, and oh my God, anyway, here's number 2. Then they're going to click away. But what makes them keep reading and the read ratio high is if it's okay, I'll tell you this. Why I was afraid to do it was because I felt like I would have to make it universal, kind of saying everyone has this problem. But I was like, no, anything personal you can put into this. And even if it's not with Amsterdam Airport, for example, it turned into a mini essay about how it was ultra progressive to the point where it was disgusting. You know what I mean? But that was just my own hang-ups as a man. You know what I mean? So it kind of had all these different things kind of thrown into it, and I really enjoyed writing that. And it was the first time where I was writing something that was no longer an essay but digestible. That I actually really loved each piece, and each piece in that list could actually be its own essay. You know? So it was kind of I was like, oh, finally I cracked it. I enjoy it. Here we go. Maybe I can write some more.
Interesting. And then how, in terms of how it flowed, so does it help sometimes with the flow? Because okay, I don't have to make this flow into a 1,500 piece. I have to make this flow into 2 paragraphs, and then I go to the next paragraph, and then you go again. Does it help with that, or does it make it harder?
No, it's great because after each one, it's you have an opportunity for a punchline.
Yeah, which is good.
Because my thing is I was like, God, I got so many jokes, but I can't just put them in there for the sake of it. So you can go back and kind of say it's actually you have 10 punchlines now, and so you've got 3 lead-ins to the punchline.
Yeah.
That they think that's the punchline. It's not the punchline. It's the lead into the next thing that's funny. It's the lead into the next thing that's funny. And then it's a real deadpan kind of punchline, as in that's how I got a job at Amsterdam Airport. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, that's funny. It's stupid. And they move on to the next thing, and it keeps that flow going because they have that kind of deadpan reaction where and then they're into number 2,
Yeah, it sounds good, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
It sounds like you've got it's because you've experimented with a format which you didn't originally like, and it's been received well.
Well, yeah, because it means that I can, in that format, in that list, in the kind of multiple paragraphs, whether I can be myself 10 different ways. I can tap into how I was in Amsterdam airport. I can tap into that time on Reunion. I can tap into that time in Ireland, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
10 different times. And it's like, oh shit, that's actually really freeing,
Mm.
you know? And it kind of makes it a bit more funnier.
Nice. That's cool.
Mm.
And I'm glad it was well received. How many reads did it get? Or how many whatever claps? I haven't read
I
a
don't
Mimi
know.
either.
Well, it's weird with claps right now. Claps don't really do anything, but it got about like close to 2,000 reads, which is good.
That is fair. That's 2,000 reads is
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, for something that's not boosted, I was like really happy with that.
Nice. Yes, that's really good.
Thanks,
And
Caitlin,
also,
by the way.
so
She
it
said
could
she was
keep on.
working on look at my
Nice.
stuff.
So that could that keep on growing? Like, what's the algorithm like with that stuff?
So with Medium right now, from my experience and other people have like people like Ben Ulansey, like Ben has people go to Ben because he is Ben, you know? Like like he will he's always very consistent, and he always has a very thoughtful opinion, but he also likes different things. So, but he's very consistent in how he writes. You know it's him. He has a style. My style is the memoiry travel stuff that you have read, and that's me when I'm writing. That's how I write. That's my style. Even if it's not as good as my other stuff, it doesn't matter. That's my style. I will steal from Hemingway, Thompson. You know what I mean? That's just my style. But that means I don't really have a style on Medium, but I'm a little bit like, what's that animal that changes color?
A squid.
Chameleon. Oh, fuck's sake. A chameleon. Like a fucking squid. You're like a squid, Peter. But like where if I need to sound like I'm look, I'm very good at like kind of doing deadpan kind of like voiceover scripty writing. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
can tap into that character. I can also tap into a character who's like a fucking misogynist. Okay? But he's so over the top that it's obvious he's the idiot and we're making fun of this guy. You know?
Mm.
I can tap into a personality that's like overly progressive. You know? I can do that. But as a result, it means that every time you come to one of my articles, you don't really know which Peter or Murphy or whatever you're getting. Okay? So that can be a problem. But if you come into it with this kind of new thing that's very trendy on Medium right now, or at least is doing well on Medium, getting lots of views, that doesn't really matter. In fact, and Robin said this to me last year, she said, like, I'm doing better outside publications.
Mm.
So like now I don't even bother to go into publications that much in Medium anymore, which is a shame because I love working with editors.
Yeah. How do you find Ben as an editor?
He's great. He's great. I mean, I will only submit to Ben because I think I can do better.
Yeah, Ben's really helps me. Yeah, he's really
Yeah.
helped my
Yeah.
writing.
If I think I can do better, but there are some articles that I don't think that need to do better, that they're fine just the way they are. And therefore I won't submit it. So
Mhm.
I will only submit it to him if I think something like deserves his eye.
Yeah, if you
Does that
think
make sense?
there's some thoughts which need to be thunk.
Or more like sentences that need to be rearranged for
Mm.
clarity.
Yeah.
But tell me about your book. You're writing a book. I want to know.
Uh I mean, it's good. It's good. Like, I didn't expect it to. you know how it's so intimidating sitting down, with a laptop, and then you're just like, oh, like it's compared to an article, it's like a completely different flavor of writing. But no, I've actually really enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed not having to introduce characters at the start of every article and then wrap it all up at the end of every chapter, like allowing it to. Fuck, that's nice. It's so nice. Like, right, these are the
How are you
characters.
structuring it?
I'm structuring it so I've learned a little bit from my TikTok experience, and the hook. I know the hook's important. So and also I spoke to you about Hunter S. Thompson, like throwing in straight into the bats and the car and the psychedelic experience. So I basically just opening scene is my strongest story, which was a big pivotal moment, which was the drowning, like the moment of drowning on in Timor Leste. So that's the first two chapters is the drowning, and then the second chapter is a bit lighter. It's me getting physically assaulted down the penis with a catheter, and just sort of breaks up
I,
the.
I put a catheter into a man's penis during a military coup, and it was just so like scary to like
Yeah,
be holding it, and the
for
sirens went
both of
off.
you. I'm sure for
Yeah.
both of you.
Well, no, he was like adamant that I do it, and I was like, "Why me? What's wrong with the nurse?" And he was like, "No, it's got to be you." I was like, "God damn!" And the thing is like you think when you're pushing it, like there's going to be, it's either going to go in or there's going to be a little bit of like, yeah. But like it was more of like a, and then it just went in, and like the
Jesus.
sound he made, and he said like, he's like, "God damn it, Peter, I love you," and I was like, "All right, man, just fucking don't die," you know.
Wow.
That was a fucking crazy night.
Damn. I certainly did not say I love you to the person who put in mine. I think I called them a C word at the top
Oh
of my
no, I
lungs.
was the person putting it in, so I got the "I love you."
Yeah, I know. You were
All
putting
right.
it in him, yeah?
Mm.
Yeah, I called the person who put it in me a C word.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're just,
I had no lubricant. Zero lube.
maybe you're just not. I don't know. Look, Josh, there comes a time in every man's life.
When you have to get a catheter.
No, when you have to accept love where you get it from, no matter what, you know?
Yes. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, go back. Tell me about how you're structuring it. Like, is it going to be, is it like your life story or like your life adventures verbatim, or is it like going
There's a
to
lot of
be,
there's a lot of metaphor in there. Like I watched Paddington recently, and I just thought Paddington was so good as like the metaphor of, because he's essentially the metaphor of like the best immigrant story, like an immigrant coming over to England. I remember watching it again and hearing the Browns treating him at the train station, being like, "Oh God, don't talk to him. He's probably selling something." And you realize, like, oh bloody hell, like Paddington is just one big immigrant story about like um, and I love the metaphors in Paddington. So when I was writing about, so I realized I wanted that in my book. So like part of one of the back in London after I like had my rock bottom moment of like losing job, girlfriend, no money, no car. I did it as like a metaphor of like an orangutan, essentially like an orangutan who's basically an orangutan in a palm oil plantation, stuck on a tree, no trees to swing to. Like, and I really liked the imagery of it. And I like, because I did it initially as just like a simile of it. It was like, this is what my predicament was like a orangutan palm oil plantation, unable to swing out of there. He's found himself in the wrong bit of the forest. He's not got the skills to survive in this place. And then like taking that on into like being an orangutan walking around London, like sad with your arms scraping along the floor, like adding in that sort of imagery as well has been so much fun. And I've never done that before with Medium. It's all been very literal, like this is what happened. But I'm really enjoying the freedom to because in a Medium article it's so sure that if you randomly become orangutan halfway through, people are just like, what? I thought you were in Timor Leste with a catheter. But then because because you could build up the chapters and the character, and you can get into the author's mind or into the character's mind. You have sort of have more free license to like have fun. I've had so much more fun writing the start of this book than I have writing any article for the past 2 years, I'd say.
Oh, it's great crack. It's great. The problem, the only thing I would find to be careful of is don't rely on memory too much. Allow the story to reveal itself.
Mm.
Like, as in, if you're like at a point, it was like, okay, I finished that chapter now, and then this happened. It's like, okay, but is that what happened?
Mm.
Is that what has to happen?
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, Josh went to XYZ next, but maybe this version stopped for a second
Yeah. Don't let
and
the
thought.
what's it? Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Well, I'm not saying lie, like I went to the moon, but I'm saying like, we were all kind of like, you know what I mean? And sometimes when we're telling that story, we're always kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget that there are many moments in between the beats where we actually had very dark or light, serious moments where we like really thought about shit, or we had a conversation, do you know?
Yeah.
Where, you know what I mean? And it's like, and even if that only lasted for like 2 seconds or 20 minutes or 2 hours, I think it's always a good idea, because they're really important, to like stretch that out to like, because you might want to have, like, I'm talking for myself, you might want to have like the waterfall sequence be like this one big chapter, but it might actually just be this little thing that happens amid all these beautiful conversations that you've forgotten. And there's something about coming back to those conversations when you're 38, that like the conversation you had when you're like 22 or 23, coming back to it with a 38-year-old mind, you can really add some like really raw, dark shit to it, as well as some really beautiful kind of upswings. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
Because
do.
you can give those other people like the advice that you're kind of giving yourself now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can give, like, one of your real life characters or fictional characters that kind of grace to kind of swoop in and do that for you,
Mm.
or for the reader, not for you.
Yeah.
Because if it's too much like real life, it's it's a little bit raw. Like, as
Yeah.
in,
No, I agree.
I think it needs to be seared a little bit, so when they chew into it, and that doesn't make it worse. It just means that like you're a better chef.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I completely agree. Yeah. Choosing what to put, what actually needs to go in, like for the story
Yeah.
and for what the reader's feeling at that point, like what needs to
Yeah.
go in. Tell you one thing which I was not expecting, is the because I've been reading because I wrote about a lot of the things that have happened to me at the time of them happening to me. So I've gone back and read some of the articles I wrote when I was like 25, 26 about some of the things that are going into the book, because I thought, well, that's a good place to start. And then that guy who was writing then, he had never tried psychedelics, or he'd never known like how much the world can bend during a mushroom trip, or smoking DMT or whatever. And like the revisiting the stories, like reading it back, but through a lens of um how I actually view it now and how I view the memory now. It's interesting how much psychedelics have actually helped with the conjuring of the imagery I want to actually portray in the book. And it's got a feeling of what the reality is, but it's different. Like it's like tinged in this um ethereal, like, I don't know, color or something. There's something different about the memory now since
Yeah.
I've tried that stuff, and it's actually really helped with world building. um I've enjoyed it.
I had this conversation with Ben about mushrooms, and he always gets such like a kick. Like, he starts like doing the Ben Ulansey laugh, as I call it, where he'll just start like giggling, like I can't, because he finds it so fucking ridiculous. But like,
Oh,
he will
speak of
tell
the
me like,
devil.
"Oh, Ben's here, fucking great! All right, maybe I'll invite him on." But like, I'll tell Ben about like a time I went on like mushrooms, and he'll tell me like, these amazing stories. But like, I'll tell him that like when I did it, I just stood or squatted in the corner thinking, I'm a houseplant
Yeah.
and getting really into photosynthesis. You know, like,
Yeah.
like I gotta try fucking harness the sun. I'm getting really anxious about it, and like it's not fun. That's me for like 7 hours.
So, that's a bad trip in many ways. But in some ways, you got to experience life as a plant. Not many people can say that.
I knew I wasn't a plant. I was trying to be a plant. I was like, if I do this, God, it's so hard to tap into this memory. But basically, the logic was, if I do this, they won't find me. I don't know who they were, but like, it's why I remember one time a friend of mine, Freeman, got this particular vape that had some sort of substance in it. I don't know what it was.
Probably DMT.
I don't know. Anyway, we did it. Okay. And he speaks in this kind of Gatsby-esque kind of droll, but a little bit kind of like I don't know, the Colonel from Apocalypse Now, and he's got a lot of watches and guns. And he was like, try this, Peter. I was like, all right. And then I did it. And I said, like, Freeman, I'm getting spider brain. I'm getting spider brain, And he was like, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, my heart's going to stop. That's what it means. My heart is going to stop. And he was like, look, no one has ever died from this. And I'm like, okay, fine. He's like, not that I know of. Okay. And I was like, what? I was like, I need reassurance, man. I need reassurance. He's like, there's no fucking reassurance in life. And he started we were talking about music. We were talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Fleetwood Mac for 3 hours. Then we did that. And we went into a 4-hour conversation about the fallacy of reassurances as my heart began to pump out of my chest. Okay. And I ended the night by jumping out the window over the balcony and running home. Like, he lives on the first floor. But like running home at 4 a.m. And it's kind of this kind of thing where I don't think people who are extreme overthinkers should do anything that's going to make them question reality. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's my opinion. Like, it made a great story. It didn't make any money, but it made a great story. But like, it's kind of like, I think some people are already in it. Does that make sense?
I
Like, they're
understand what
already
you're
in it.
saying.
So, some people aren't in it. They're in it in other ways, perhaps. Like, some people can do weed and they're fine or whatever, but like, they don't need weed because they're already in it. But like, I think when it comes to psychedelics, I really do believe people who are already kind of in it shouldn't do it.
I mean,
Does that make sense?
there's definitely people who shouldn't do it. The already in it bit, I don't massively understand.
Well, I mean, like, in real life, sitting with, they're not hallucinations because they're not real. Okay. But sitting with that daydream is very good for the creative process, where you can sit down and you can actually daydream something sober
Yeah.
and create a story and characters, and you can world build very quickly.
But you don't think you should do psychedelics?
But I think if you do, it's probably because with Freeman, it's a little bit sinister. But like, I think if you then do it, and you're already in that hyper creative space, I think it can be very intense.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
No, because you're constantly, as a creative, you're constantly trying to tie something, and it's like, if we ever did stuff like that, I would have to have a guitar in my hand, and it wouldn't be two dudes sitting down talking about, like, life or whatever. It would always be two dudes like, okay, we're here now. Let's make music or create something. And
I'm
if
with
we
you.
can't do that, it becomes very I don't want to say dark or sinister or anything like that because
No,
it's probably funny.
I understand
You know what I
exactly what
mean?
you mean. I understand,
Yeah.
and it's like having distractions and things to do. Like
Mhm.
I was lucky. Like I did nothing until I was like in my late 20s. So because if I had done it when I was 21, 22, I would have broken me because didn't know who I was, a shell of a human being really. No interests, no likes. It would have broken me. It would have snapped my psyche instantly. But I did it like later, and then the main bit of advice, which like my friend, uh, my Kenyan mate, uh, who wanted to do it with me, he was just like, "Look, man," he was like, "We're gonna right today. We are going to be like 12-year-old boys." Like, if you want to build a dam in a river, build a dam in the river. If you want to go climb the trees, climb the trees. Whatever like comes to you, he was like, is my best advice for you on this right now is whatever feeling you want to do as a 7-year-old boy, go and do it immediately and work at it and do whatever you want. And I was just like, okay. And I didn't really understand what that meant until it all happened. And then whenever I tried to get like overly serious or like focus too much on, oh, the colors are everything, or and then that's when I'd start to go down these little portals of like these mind holes of, oh, but why are everything looking like this? As soon as like I've had things to do like a little 7-year-old boy, like go build a sandcastle. We built like this giant dam to try and stop a river. We're tripping balls in Kenya for about 7 hours on these mushrooms. And it was perfect because we had this thing we were doing. We were laughing so much. And then all of the times when it got intense, you would just like focus on the dam. Like you had outside things. And those little things, like, it really helped. They really helped me in a lot to, there was some elements of developing because that you realize that there's say those things which can make a trip go spin off into chaos with your friends, which is when you start focusing on things inside you with like anxiety or panic or something, and you can start mentioning it to your mate, and then you see this little glimmer in their eyes because you snap them out of the fun that you're having as well, and before you know it, you've got the whole group being like, "No, guys, seriously, something's wrong," and you can like grab the whole group with that mentality. Um, and being Jasper, being my best mate, was able to like talk me through any of those little moments, being like, actually, Josh, what's happening now is you're hyper focusing on this thing. But if you just like come and like look at something which is interesting, or look at something beautiful, or so, like notice like how these like frogs are gathering in this part of the river. Should we try and catch a frog? And then immediately brought me back.
I need a Jasper because whenever that
It's the
happens to
best.
me with Freeman, he starts kind of going like, like y- maybe you should jump out the window, you
Yeah,
know?
he's not the
Right.
person you should be doing it with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, maybe he just says that because we're on the first floor. He wouldn't say it if we're on like the third or fourth floor.
Yeah, I know,
But,
man. But like that's it's like you said, they're nothing to play around with, and like that
oh
sort of
no,
thing. I've like
100%. That's
no,
why I have his.
but this is what I'm saying about your mate. Like I disagree with what he's doing. Like I disagree with
Right.
what like I don't think that's good. And I because for the reason of what you're saying to me right now, like. But then what I was gonna say regarding little life lesson about you focusing on the thing which can cause you to spiral is it's exactly the same in the real world, in the real like situations that you're in. Is if you're the one of the group who notices that you're always the one focusing on what could go wrong, then you bring it down. The only difference is on trippers is you notice it so much quicker and faster about how much effect you've had. But you do it in the real world. So like I've stopped doing it, man. Every single situation we ever get into now, I always assume the best, whatever it
Right,
is.
right.
Like could be police, could be drugs, like could be people like pulling us over and being like searching us with a machete. Whatever's happening, like I will not be the person to panic because you can just it never makes anything better.
Right, but there's part of me in those situations where I'm kind of like there's like a roguish element where I'm kind of like, if I play this part, this is going to make a good story. You know
Which
what I
yeah,
mean?
like
Yeah,
what?
well, which is like this kind of like gray area of like where you're kind of like giving yourself permission,
To
like
act
you're
like
kind of
like it's like a mentalist.
to act kind of like not to act that way, but like the way that when they give that back to you, like you kind of say like, I know what he's doing, but
Okay, like mind
I'm trying to
games.
No, but it's like I'm enjoying this.
Okay, that's the main thing.
I'm enjoying this. So like Ben just said, like, Peter, is it true that you and Freeman are lovers? It's kind of true, because it's kind of like, I when we get into a rehearsal hall and start playing music together, like, I can't play the guitar. I can, but like, I don't know any notes or chords or up down, anything like that. But if I and Freeman is a genius at song structure and creating solos and, production, everything, considering he's doing it on like a 20-year-old Mac in his kitchen, you know what I mean? And like, but if we get into a rehearsal hall, I will do something that someone who doesn't know how to play the guitar should not know how to do,
Uh-huh.
and he will put a structure to it that will make it seem really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is this kind of like yin and yang kind of creative kind of spark where he's also feeding into me. Where
Wait, is
if
Freeman your
I'm
brother?
huh?
Is Freeman your brother?
No, Freeman is my 55-year-old American best friend who dresses like,
Oh.
um like, he lives in Monaco.
God, when you said that he was your that you were making music, because your brother's in music. He makes music as well, doesn't he? Your
No,
brother.
my brother works for like Warner Brothers.
I know he's
Or
in
he doesn't work
TV.
for them. He freelances for them, like doing, events and
Okay,
whatever.
so Freeman is he's like your partner in crime for chaos.
Freeman
And
is my
sometimes for beauty.
musical muse and best friend in Turkey. I'm not his best friend, because he keeps telling me that, like, he actually has a real best friend in Istanbul who I've never met. But
Sounds
like,
suspicious.
the whole thing is like, but I like that. I like that. I like that because I like being privy to the ridiculous of it, and he knows that I like the ridiculous of it. And then whenever we do get together, there's like this genuine love.
Good.
Does that make sense?
It does
Like,
make sense. I
there's
understand.
this kind of, it's so hard to explain, but there's this kind, like, we never kind of got on, because we worked together for like 10 years and we never got on. And then like one day I just like kind of walked up to him and I said, like, like, the pandemic's on. It's happening, the pandemic. Maybe we should play music together in our spare time. And he was like, okay. And we got in and then we started playing music together, and we just had this fucking chemistry, you know? Because like, I think he respected the fact that I picked up the guitar and I learned it in like 3 weeks and just went in and we created like 5 or 6 original songs. And it was the first time in his life since maybe in 20, 25 years where he actually had someone who he could partner with and make something. And we created this, even though like the production is shit and everything like that, for two guys just to come together over Zoom and then sometimes in rehearsal halls, sometimes when they're high, to create that when one of them doesn't even know how to play the instrument and the other hasn't played the instrument in 30 years. I think that's awesome,
Yeah.
you know? And we kind of, the anything great creatively has come from that tension. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So even though sometimes it feels like maybe we're manufacturing it, but we're manufacturing it because we think it's like fucking fun and we love like, I can't just sit down with someone and have a pint for like 8 hours straight. I can do it for 4 hours, but when it gets to the fourth hour, I'm like, are we going to go hijack some airplanes? Do you know what I mean? Like, or are we going to go shoot guns in a desert? Because
Yeah.
if we're not, I got to go home to my wife. Do you know
Fair
what I
enough.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's my limit, you know?
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
So okay, fair enough. Yeah. No, I mean that's good. I like that. I'm all for chaotic personalities that blend well in yin and yang situations. That's that's good shit.
Brandon says my nickname is Freeman. Okay, Brandon. Um, Ben said I could have sworn that it was
That
like your
Freeman.
writing alter ego. Yeah, no, Freeman's real.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me, when do you think your book will be finished? Oh, by the way, I asked Ben to join if you want to talk to him for like a while.
Yeah, Ben can hop on.
Yeah, you said like 10 minutes. I guess 10 minutes is up. I got to go on a pee break.
Nice. How do you do it?
A pee break?
No, the have Ben on.
Oh, I just invite him, and then if he says yes, he comes on.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So are your family happy to have you home for a few days at least?
Yeah, yeah. It's been great, super chilled. Nice to be back with dad and mum. And this is my first time being back since dad's published his poetry book. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's
Oh, is
great.
he there listening? Is he listening to me?
Yeah, he poked his little head in. Now he's run away.
Mr. Porter, don't listen to anything I just said now.
He's just scuttled off to have dinner. Yeah. But no, it's good to be back. Yeah. It's been nice. And also being home for some reason is just always very, very creative time because you don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about anything. Like there's food in the fridge, and there's a roof, there's a bed, so I can just fucking wake up, have a coffee, and do whatever I want to do, which for a month before I go back. So yeah, I really like it.
Right, right.
Nice being back.
Yeah, unfortunately though, I won't be able to come visit you
When?
because I'm
Oh,
in
you
January.
really?
Yeah. I wish I could, man. There's nothing. That's one thing that like I really wish I. It's like one regret where I don't have as much mobility as I don't have as much mobility as I do. As in, like I could just book it and just go, but there's just others. Like I have to. There's students lined up. There's I have to get my wife's visa ready for Ireland because we might go in April.
Mm,
Um, there's just there's day to day stuff. Because it's never as easy as getting on a plane. You know what I mean?
yeah.
There's always kind of like just extra shit that you got to do. But like it's one thing I would love to do is if we found a way in like a year, maybe a year and a half, to like meet up and do like a historical tour of the west coast of Turkey.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I would love
Do
to
some
be on.
storytelling there, like about it could be about the apostles, the Hittites. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Find a way
I'm
to like
sure there's
explore
lots of
that
interesting shit for us to work on.
Troy, like some great stuff, you know?
Yeah. And I would love that. I'd love to get to that part of the world, but through a more
Yeah.
historical lens. Every time I've been to Turkey, we've just been chilling. It's been a holiday. Yeah, and actually,
Just
I would like to come and learn some stuff for sure. For
all right. I'm just
sure.
gonna take a quick pee break. I'll be back in a second, okay?
Yeah, no worries, man. I'll do the same. Although,
Everyone wait there.
yeah, maybe I can. Oh, Ben. So the tuk tuk journey is on hold right now. The tuk tuk journey is on hold right now. We've left them in Bolivia with a kindly Bolivian farmer who said he would definitely not sell them. So hopefully they're still there when we get back. We'll see. And then we're going back in February, so like February 5th or something, and then fly in, get the tuk-tuks from Bolivia, from our kindly Bolivian farmer, and then we have to drive them back over the Andes, or maybe we're gonna have to put them on a truck. The pass to get from Bolivia to Cusco is like it's like 5,000 meters. So when you're driving up there, you can just feel your engine dying slowly, and then around about 4,000 meters, it dies completely, and then we probably have to get dragged over by a truck. So we're gonna have to like get a rope, attach it on, go back over the Andes, and then head north. And then the aim is to just get to Ecuador, Colombia, and then try and get across the Darien Gap, which we're not going to drive it because we're in tuk-tuks, so we'll probably die. But get a boat around from Colombia to Panama. So we're going to cheat, and then keep going, keep heading north, and then enjoy. Bloody hell, man! Central America will be hot water, I guess. Caribbean water, coral reef, spearfishing. So yeah, it's going to be different to Patagonia, freezing our nuts off.
Who are you talking to?
Ben,
Oh, okay.
he asked a question, so I was just nattering away at his photo of him and his dog.
Oh, I want to ask you a question. I know you haven't had a chance to read it, but like, what are you expecting before you open that file that I've sent you?
I have read a bit. I've read the first 2 pages that I've got so far, and I want to read more. So it's a good start. I think it's good. I think it's a really good start. What I've got so far. I've cheated a bit. Read those first 2 pages. But it's what I'm expecting, man. It's like the chaotic nature, the fact that you can almost smell Jack. You know what he smells like. You know, like what his eyes look like. You know, he's got bloodshot eyes, and you know he probably smells of cigarettes and a few drinks at the airport. And you just know, and you can feel his anxiety as well about being thrust into this new land. So I mean, all of that so far, I like it. You know, I like the fact that this character is thrust thrust into the thrust into uh, a far off land.
Yeah, he's got more to come towards him. I think there's going to be about 50 chapters by the end. It's going to be split into Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. But yeah, it should. I'm glad you like it so far.
Yeah, it's good. It's good so far. Um, Jack, it feels like he feels like it might funny that we just had our talk about tripping. He feels like a character who might be about at the beginning of sending himself into a bad trip. The way that he's like all these questions, like I don't have a job, I've got no money, I've got no rent, I've got no anything. Is like you can see reality's dawned on him that he may have bitten off more than he can chew.
Yeah, he's kind of. Yeah, no. One thing that I'm liking about the process so far, and I kind of said it to you about the story revealing itself, is like it's like, yeah, that's him in the first 2 pages, but then as it goes on, kind of more layers, and it's not like I don't think it's like the cliche kind of layer. It's kind of like as a reader, as you read it, and I do have that kind of detachment from it right now, which just comes from like lots of like rewriting the story over and over. It's still not polished. Like, don't get me wrong. Like certain things are going to have to be polished, but I think he's going to be infuriating character to be in the head of in the right way. You
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
no, it's good, man. It's a good start. I'm I'm happy reading it so far. Yeah,
Well,
and I want to.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the rest of it because it gets dark. It does get dark. You know.
Yeah, I'd expect it to get a little dark for sure.
Yeah, and there's some mythology woven in there as well. So you know.
My Peter, I've just been called by my poet father. Unfortunately, apparently,
Okay,
mum,
no problem.
mum, mum has finished dinner, and I will be scolded if I don't
No
eat it while
problem,
it's
man.
hot. So it's a shame I can't hop on while Ben's coming. But is it okay if I bid you farewell? Are you going to hop on with Ben after?
I'll hop on with Brandon. Maybe Ben will come on. I don't know. But if you got to
Okay.
go, I completely get it.
Unfortunately, I do because
All right, dude. It was great to
it's
see you, though. Thanks for
good to
hopping
see you
on.
too. No worries, and thanks for sending the book. Honestly, I'm honoured there to give it a read, and yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Like I do, it does first like 3 pages. I want to read on, so I mean it's good. Yeah, so thank you
Well,
very much.
give me your feedback by the end of whenever you get through whatever's left.
I will for sure, man.
All
Yeah,
right,
no
dude. All
worries.
right, great to see you.
Good to see you too, and have a good chat with Brandon and Ben. Sorry I didn't get to hop on with them.
See you later.
Nice one, man. In a bit.
Bye bye. All right, well, that was Josh. Ben, if you still want to come on, I think I've got to talk to Brandon now. It's up to you. Josh had to go away. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's a Brandon Elrich.
It is
What's up?
I.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Technically, I'm a guest on your show right now, so you got to ask all the questions.
Well, actually, if you want to invite Ben on, I have this poem that I wrote, and actually he's in it as well.
I think he's just going to be watching right now.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Go
All
for
right.
it.
All right. Let's see. So, for a little context, I guess I contacted you in the end of November, and I said I'm going live every day in December, and I'd love to have you on as a guest. I'm having several guests and whatnot, and you said I'm pulling up our Discord conversation. You said, "Oh, dude, I'd fucking love to, but I'm taking a break for the new year, so I'm not doing anything big on Substack until February." So,
Yeah.
my poem.
Okay.
Was the night before my video, and all through Turkey, not a creature was stirring, not even Murphy. He told me he was taking a break, and I had no reason to doubt him, for goodness sake. When on a live video, I heard some disorder. It was Murphy and a tuk-tuk driven by Josh Porter. It seemed that Murphy was being naughty. He said, "No, it's just that Josh's signal is spotty." Days later, I tuned into Escapist Delights, and my eyes beheld a familiar sight. I watched the show because I think Ben is groovy, but then I saw Murphy talking about movies. So it seems that Murphy doesn't like my show and lies to my face instead of telling me no. You and Josh have fun as you go and tuck it. The next time you ask me on video, I'll just say fuck it.
Well, goddamn. Okay. Well, first of all, do you know when I don't know what kind of brain you have. I'm sure it's the same brain as mine, like the creative kind of brain, where you make a plan and you say, I am not going to do that this month. I'm going to do this. And the minute you say that, you do that like 2 weeks later. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just, and you just, because you just can't help yourself. And I remember I said no to Ben. I said, do you know what? I was just fucking bored. And I was like, oh, fuck it. Okay, let's do it. Do you know what? Let's go on. I'm not saying I was bored, therefore I did Ben and Walter's thing. But like, I was just kind of like, I would like to talk to somebody. So like, I think you caught me at a moment where I was like, no, it's me time.
Right.
And besides Josh thing, which is like, to do with internet and everything. But like when Ben asked me, I was like lonely. I was like, yeah, okay. Let's talk. Let's do something.
He caught you at a vulnerable moment.
Right. Yeah. And even though I hadn't seen a movie in like 6 months, I was like, yes, I will come on. And I will talk.
I watched that. And you were like, well, I haven't actually watched any movies. Yes.
Ben says, he said, don't, and I quote, don't tell that Brandon Weird.
Oh, I see how it is. I see. Don't tell Brandon Weirdo. Well, the funny thing was, after you said, I know I can't do it, whatever. I don't remember when it was, but so I'm subscribed to Josh and you. And so I get 2 emails, and one says Murphy is going live with Josh Porter. Josh Porter is going live with Murphy. So I'm like,
Right.
huh? What? So it's like, well, there they are.
Well, it's it is what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how were your lives? I particularly enjoyed your live with that.
Oh, stop it. No, before December, I was like, I thought I was probably going to have to do most of them by myself because I didn't know how many people I'd be able to get to fill up. But
I think pretty well. Considering,
I know,
the Phillips show was once a week, and like I struggle because like I will ask people, do you want to come on the show? It's this, and they will come back at me with like questions about like, well, and I'll just be like, okay, never mind. Do you know what I mean? I was like, just oh, fuck.
It's too much.
You know
It's
what I
too
mean?
much.
Like, I can't do this. Do you want to come on or not? Like, it's Substack. It's all about the live. And if you're on Substack and you're not all about the live, then just say that. So, like, I don't know how you had the patience for like asking like what 28 people or what 31 days in this month.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much had somebody Monday through Friday for the first like 3 weeks. Of course, the week of Christmas, I didn't ask anybody to go on with me on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, that kind of thing. But yeah, I had different people every day. I did a variety of topics, because I didn't want to be like, oh, what do you do for Christmas? What do you do? What are your traditions for Christmas? And that, I thought that would be really boring. So we talked about all kinds of different things, and at least 3 of the people had never been on live video on Substack before. So coming on with me, I thought,
you know who I fell in love with though? Thanks to you. I can't pronounce it. I'm so sorry. Was it Onxie? Onxie?
Onyx Rose.
Onyx. Sorry, Onyx. Man, what a journey! Like I follow her now on TikTok. Like it's just talk about like a groovy person. Like really, like good stuff. You know what I mean? And there's someone else who you were talking to, not the one that we were looking at. Somebody else. God, I can't remember. But it was somebody outside our circle who I'd never, known about before. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Ginger Cook came on.
Ginger. Yeah. She was cool.
Yeah. So she's gonna actually come on again after the first of the year. She wants to do it again. And I've had a couple other people reach out and wanted to. They've seen some of the interviews and stuff, and they wanted to come on. So like, I guess I'm kind of extending this into the new year. I'm not going to do it every day because that's just a lot. But yeah, it was a lot for December trying to. The scheduling was bad, first of all, because trying to get different people at different days and the time zones and all that kind of stuff. And then I've got to look at their profile and, read some of their stuff to ask relevant questions and things like that. So it's really a lot.
Yeah. I like Ginger's because I follow her already. So I kind of know her humor.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, I don't think she's a comedian. Maybe she's a comedian, but I don't know what she identifies as artistically. But sometimes like humorists don't like to be on camera because they have their humor kind of profile. But like, man, she came across like perfect.
Yeah. She was
exactly as you expect, like sweet, funny. Do you know what I mean? It was like, barbed, not barbed, petalish. Like it was everything. She was perfect. And like I said, like Onyx was great. And I watched a decent proportion, but because a decent proportion of it was within our circle, I'm finding it hard to like pinpoint anyone December circle. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Ginger was one of the few that I didn't take any notes on beforehand. I thought, because she'd never been on video, so I was and I'd interacted with her quite a bit through messages, and we've done a couple of articles together. So I knew just by our interactions that it was going to be easy, So I was just like, we're just going to have a conversation and talk about whatever comes up, basically.
All right. Okay. Pretend I'm on your show right now and ask me some questions. Come on.
All right. So I didn't take any notes actually, but
you know me.
I know. So you were taking a break. When did your school tell me about your school? Like, when does it start back up? And like, are you starting in the new year again, or your courses?
With my personal lessons, December finished on the 20th of December, and we have 6 Brazilian students starting in January 5th. We have 2 French students starting, and we have 3 Turkish students starting with the personal business. With the personal business, all the students who did my course with me, they all passed their IELTS English exam and they all achieved the score they wanted. So they're very happy.
That's
So
good.
with those last students from November, December, my job now with them that they have passed their exams is to help them find accommodation in European countries, which I do for free. Okay. The only catch is I request that they give a just a 20-second video saying how I helped them. Do you know what I mean? Which I think is fair. And then but work hasn't stopped between December 20th and December and right now, because I also work freelance on online tutor websites every day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so until my own personal brand breaks probably $3,000 a month, when it breaks $3,000 a month, then I can enjoy doing that with Medium and not have to rely on online platforms.
Okay.
Yeah. I know 3,000 sounds like a lot, especially because I live in Asia Minor, but it's about also saving Social Security. Do you know what I mean? There's so much
Right. Yeah.
that you throw into different things so that you have something when, you turn, I don't know, 67 or 72.
So are you? I know you were like trying to raise money and stuff for the school, or is that?
We did. We raised on Buy Me a Coffee. We raised close to $500. I don't have the figure off my head, but close to $500. And then on GoFundMe, we raised $300, which is great. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to rent out a big building. So I basically took that money and just used it for, online
Beer?
subscription games. Oh, beer. Yeah, beer, exactly. No, I can buy my own beer. But I use that money for like Nearpod, Gimkit, Kahoot. I used it for books, and I used it for a new chair. I bought this table that I'm sitting on with it, and then I just said, well, I think this has to be an online thing. So the plan then in January is to register the business officially, because right now in Turkey we work in a kind of a gray area because private lessons aren't taxed in Turkey. So, but it's a gray area to an extent. It's kind of like, yeah, look, you can be a teacher and make money and help people, and we're not going to tax you on like a few $1,000s, whatever. But like, if you do start doing it seriously, you gotta, start paying tax. So then it becomes a moment where you decide, where do you want to pay tax? And I would much rather pay tax in Turkey on the work that I do in Turkey. But then for Peak English, I want it to be taxed in Ireland, because having a European footprint is better for a company such as that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. These, like, for example, there's a lot of companies that place students who want to like go to university in Milan or Vienna or, somewhere in Poland or France. And they're fantastic Turkish companies, but they have like a European address. So like they'll be their European address and office might be in Amsterdam, and this doesn't really affect their Turkishness, But what it does do is it just gets them in the door with the European Union, because what the European Union is great for is like grants, distribution, access to students that you can help, students from the other side of the world that you can send to Europe. And it kind of ties into what my wife and I want to do, where we want to spend maybe 8 months of the year in Ireland, and then the other 4 months in Turkey. So it's
That'd
kind
be
of like
cool.
coming together in a kind of way. We'll
Yeah.
see how it goes.
So what about Substack going into 2026? Are you going to continue the way you're going, or do you have any new plans? Are you going to do the show again with Philip, or what's that
We
looking
have a
like?
new show,
A new show.
and it is the Peter and Philip and Victor show.
Oh,
It's
okay.
called Tickle My Pickle, and it's going to be a comedy show. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to try get the Restream thing,
Oh,
where
yeah.
we can have 3 of us and then plus a guest, because for some reason on Substack it's only 3 people. And that's
Yeah.
no fun, because even though it very much is like Peter and Philip, Victor is so important. Like, if I'm a certain type of personality and Philip is a certain type of personality, I think Victor really does he's kind of like the hang on a second, fellas personality. You know what I mean? So, which is very important. So like to have him there with then like a 4th guest, or it could just be like the 3 of us. But then also I have this idea where I am going to, which will tie into TikTok. I'm going to interview on my own. I'm going to interview writers and people, but political figures, musicians, anyone. And we're going to speak for 20 minutes. But for the other 20 minutes, I'm going to give them an IELTS English exam, the same exam that my students take.
Oh, okay.
Okay, for
That'll be
speaking English.
interesting.
Right, and I'm going to grade them in real time. Now, look, in my opinion, like for example, Ben speaks English better than I do, for example, and I think that you speak English better than I do, and I think I speak English better than other people who are native
Yeah.
speakers, and that doesn't matter. That's the point. The point is like how you approach the exam. So the whole point of this kind of like funny little niche thing will be to show kind of young students from North Africa, Turkey, Asia Minor, Arabia, China, Japan, that like, hey, look, these guys are writers, or these guys and gals are writers, and they're tripping up on this exam, and we're having fun doing it, sure. But like, it's not actually about whether you're Shakespeare or the Queen of England. What it's really about is how you communicate an idea clearly and you address the question, And I think when they see kind of writers who communicate in English, whether it's spoken or written, kind of going like, oh God, I only got a 7.5. I only got an 8.5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being kind of humbled by the process will kind of give them confidence, maybe,
Right. Yeah.
Because
they're like, well, I could do this.
I don't like this kind of whole thing of like an Irish, English, American, Australian, New Zealand person. They are the pinnacle of the English language. Because I think for other people in the world, like South America or China or Japan, I don't think that's like a great way for them to see the language. I think it should be something vulnerable where it's like, actually, your Chinese accent is beautiful. And as long as you can communicate your idea in a coherent way, then we're golden. Let's talk, and that's for anyone in the world, not just China. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the point. I'm like, that's for me, that's peak English. It's like communicating your point and not losing your culture whilst you do it.
That's cool. I think that's a good idea. That that would be interesting. I I think some writers might be hesitant to take that test, afraid that.
I've done that test, and I'm very open about my dyslexia and everything like that. I think that's what actually makes me a good teacher, is that like I've gone through the system
Yeah,
where I've been told that, like, you know, first up it went from like, you're an idiot, you're a jock idiot, to like, oh, you think you're creative, but really you're just dumb, to like finally finding a teacher when I was 17 or 18 saying, I love your shit, Pete. You're a good kid, but I think you're dyslexic. You've got a little bit of dyslexia and you've got ADHD, but what you're doing on this exam paper is still valid. You know what I mean? As in, like,
yeah,
your thoughts are still valid, and it's
yeah,
not your responsibility to validate that. It's actually the system's of responsibility, because the system, they're the adults in the room. They're the
yeah.
ones who are saying, "Hey, we got this kid," and you know what I mean. So he was the first kind of link between those two things. So when I sat the IELTS exam, I got in speaking, I got a full band, because, you know, speaking is the easiest part. But I tell my students, in my writing and in my listening, in my writing, by the way, 9 is the top band. Okay. So in my writing, I tell them I got like an 8, and in my listening, I got like an 8. And I said, in my listening, guys, I got an 8 because I wasn't like paying attention. You know what I mean? Like, as in, because you only get to listen to it once. But like in the writing, I got an 8 because guess what? That's my writing level in academic writing, and
Mhm.
that's okay. So like, and what you guys are looking for is like a 6.5 to get you into university, and you're so already there. And I think a lot of tutors and coaches, especially when it comes to English language teaching, they try to be too guru, too smarter than their students, when what they really should be doing is like, yeah, look, I effed up too, but this is the structure. And if I give you this structure, what are you training to be? A pilot, an engineer, a doctor? Yeah, you're smarter than me. All I got to do is give you this structure and guide you, and you're going to fly. You know what I mean? Because any English ESL teacher who thinks they're smarter than their engineering student, you've got a problem.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's cool. I like that approach. Yeah.
That was a long
So,
answer.
oh no, that's fine. I think it would be cool to take that test. I mean, I wouldn't mind telling you what my score ends up being, but yeah, I
Well,
think
I'll tell
that's
you what the score is, man.
yeah, right. Speaking of Victor, he was my first guest of December. I asked him if he wanted to come on, and he said, "Well, who have you got for the first day?" I was like, "I don't have anybody." He's like, "I want to do the first day." So he wanted to start it off. So that was
You
pretty
just
fun.
Victor's just kind of there like this, like, and I was so happy, you know? I was just so happy. And then, you know, he's got like that big happy face on him.
Yes, yeah, that was a lot of fun. But I'm gonna need to go in just a bit because I'm gonna do a live at 1 my time. But Ben says he liked what did he say? He liked the sumo. That albino sumo wrestler you had on was really cool, very personable. Right. That
The live
one
with
was one
tonight,
of
by
my
the way.
favorites. Yeah. If we're doing the thing where it's chasing against people, would you
Who are you doing the live with tonight?
today in just a few minutes I'm doing the trauma talk. I do this trauma talk with Wendy the Druid twice a week usually.
Okay.
And we just have a panel and we talk about different issues. I think today's going to be something about parents. Usually
Very cool.
something to do with queer people, how the trauma from religion and parents, family, things like that, society, that kind of thing. But tomorrow's the last day, the last person I have on, and it's Jenny O'Connor. I don't know if
okay.
I don't know if you know. I believe she's on Medium, but she writes. Her publication is Down the Rabbit Hole.
Mm.
And as far as I know, I don't think she's been on live videos. She's got a pretty big following on Substack, and I think Medium too. But yeah, so that'll be interesting.
That'd be cool. What do they write about?
I'm gonna have to research a little bit.
Oh, you don't know? Okay, fine, fair enough. Okay.
Well, she writes about kind of basically helping writers with their writing and that kind of thing, you know?
All right. Well, dude, I will let you go and get ready for Wendy. Make sure you say hi to her for me.
Yes. Ben says, if we're doing the thing where it's chasing against people, would you AMR it? Thanks. The answer is yes.
Okay.
I guess.
What's he talking about? Vaccine?
I have no idea.
All right, dude. I'll let you go. See you later.
All right. Thanks. Oh, Smilu is here. I reached out to Smilu actually. I was like, I've never seen you on live video.
I do them right now, and he's going to say no.
I asked him if he'd be one of my guests, and he didn't respond. So I'm assuming that was a no.
All right, man. See you later.
All right. See ya.
Bye. Smilu, I knew you were going to say no, mate, but I was like, fuck it. Why not?
Yes, Smilu is an enigma that I would like to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Smilu is Philip Oakley.
Actually,
I'm sure. I think Mike Nittle, Smilu, and Philip Oakley are the same people.
I could see it.
Yeah. The humor. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Do I have a whole lot to report over here? Let's see. My sleep schedule is all types of fucked over this winter break. In the wintertime, I kind of just like give up on the prospect of getting daylight and sleep until like 1, 2 in the afternoon most days. And yeah, it's not the greatest, but yeah.
Look, I was a huge I gotta wake up at 5 a.m. man. Not the Instagram or TikTok 5 a.m. kind of thing, but it was a habit I picked up early on in my early 20s. And I carried it through into my 30s. And only recently did I kind of discover that it's okay if I've got nothing going on until like midday to wake up at 8 a.m. You know what I mean? Or wake up at 10 a.m. if I want to. And that's fine. That's what your body wants. I think there's a lot of like shame, like kind of unnecessary shaming that goes into people who sleep in. You know, I think it's all about like, you and where, like, it'd be different if you were like working at a school or like, I don't know, some job where you have to like wake up at like early. But like, if you don't have to, I think whatever part of the day, like where you feel most optimal, I think that's healthy.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing about being a writer, how like you're kind of at the mercy of like when it comes and when you feel your sharpest, because to be awake and semi-functional isn't necessarily enough to get actual meaningful writing done sometimes. And if the feelings or if the impulse is coming at 3 a.m, then it's best to nurture that.
Right, 100%. 100% is like I find my writing comes at the same time where I want to get out and go for a run or a walk or something.
Yeah.
Do you know? So it's kind of like that activity level is kind of linked to creativity. And kind of, I think the challenge is like choosing which one to give into because both are very important. Like it's important to get out and walk. and move your butt. But it's also important to like harness that moment when you're at your most creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
saw I recently read a piece of yours about it was a video game but it was your most recent one.
Fortnite.
Fortnite, right? Yeah. That was like an interesting piece because I was like, how the heck is he going to approach Fortnite? Because I know Fortnite, you know what I mean, but like you kind of like approached it in a very like unique way. I felt.
I'm glad you brought that one up. I was unusually proud of that piece. Somebody asked me at a party the other day what article from the year was I the single most proud of. And while I don't think that that's my very best article, it was one of the ones that was the most unexpected joys to write. And like beforehand, if you had asked me, what do you think writing about Fortnite is going to be like, I would have thought it would be a pretty banal experience, but it really tapped into something kind of philosophical about the way that tech changes over time and the weird aspect of how video games used to be a permanent concrete thing. And if a game was released in 1996, that was how it would be forever known moving forward. But the internet has really enabled games like Fortnite to exist, where it can come out in one condition in 2017 and be a different game by 2018, 19, and 20. And with each new month, it just completely revamps everything. And it's pretty fascinating to watch. I'd only known about the game from the sidelines before, and to actually participate in it has been more interesting than I would have expected.
Yeah, there's something similar that happens with that with EA Soccer, which is an online soccer game, which I think is like one of the best sports games on mobile phone. Like I've played the NFL and I've played the basketball. I played all that kind of stuff on it. Played the rugby, and it's all good. But maybe it's because FIFA has so much money or EA has so much money, where every month you're doing something completely different with your team, and sometimes that's like infuriating
Yeah.
because you're kind of like, hey, I just got it down. You know what I mean? I figured out my tactics, and now you're kind of changing the. But then it kind of forces you after a few games of like pure frustration to kind of re-evolve again very quickly.
Yeah.
And find something else that works, which is great. But if you approach games like I do as a way to kind of just chill,
Mhm.
then it can be like infuriating.
Yeah, I was pulled into Fortnite because they were doing this Simpsons theme, and I grew up on The Simpsons. I played a lot of Simpsons Hit and Run on the GameCube when I was younger, so that was pretty attractive to me. And I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna give this game a chance. And I played it for the last week of November. Held off on exploring it for the first 3 weeks of the month where it was available. Enjoyed it for that final week, and then they got rid of it come December, and I'm just like kind of baffled turning on the game again and just like seeing, oh shit, that's really all completely gone. And if I want to recreate that experience, I don't really even have a way to do it unless the game brings it back over time.
Yeah, there's another game online that's very popular right now, mobile game called War Thunder, and it, apparently on Steam on the PC it's fantastic. But I play it on mobile, and it's basically a tank game, but you can play as like warships or airplanes or whatever. And basically, I will choose a month where I'm like, all right, look, my downtime outside of walking or writing is going to be when I've got nothing to do. I'm going to choose a game and I'm going to turn off.
Yeah.
And that's my turn off time. And I downloaded War Thunder and I got the best tanks, didn't pay anything. I got it through merit. And then when I got it through merit, what I found was happening was, and after like I figured out the maps and I was like, oh, this is the best tactic, blah, blah, blah. I did all that kind of stuff. What I found was I was getting thrown into games that would require me to compete with players who had obviously paid to play.
Yeah.
And I found that immensely frustrating because I was like, look, I get it. You want to make money, but I've actually worked really hard to get this Tiger tank. You know what I mean? And I don't mind getting blown up, but getting blown up 3 times in the first 30 seconds of each time I respawn is a little bit much. And it's like, you can kind of see them kind of saying like, well, if you don't get blown up, maybe you should pay $5 and get the
Yeah.
Israeli chieftain or the South African blah blah, or you know what I mean. And I ended up just deleting the game because despite all the hard work I'd put into it, I felt like I see too clearly what you're trying to make me do, even though I get it, but I don't think that's very fair,
I like how the game Fortnite approaches that model because from what I can tell, at least, what you get from paying is strictly aesthetic. Like if you aren't paying, you show up to everyone as this very bland default looking avatar, and suddenly if you pay, you've got the choice to be either Kim Kardashian or Uma Thurman or
You're
or
like the poor kid at school, even though you have skills,
right,
or
yeah,
you're like the kid
right,
at school and you don't
right.
have skills, like something like that. Yeah.
But you
I like
can't.
that.
But my understanding is that you can't just like buy better weapons and just like buy your way into being a better player because there are some
Right.
people who have that default avatar that are pretty darn good at the game. But yeah, that aspect is funny. It's kind of brilliant because the game is free to play, and I feel like so many of the people who start playing it are gonna pretty quickly realize, like, okay, I don't want to keep looking like a pleb to everybody else. I want to get the Kim Kardashian skin. I want to have a little SpongeBob pet following me around. My girlfriend bought me V-Bucks for Christmas because she'd seen me playing the game, which is a very silly thing to purchase. I would.
Token.
Yeah, it's online money essentially. It gives you
Yeah.
in-game items and nothing of use in the real world. I would have never spent money on it myself, but receiving it as a Christmas, it's like the kind of perfect Christmas present because it's one of those things
Right.
that I really wouldn't have ever bought myself. But so she got me V-Bucks, and now I'm running around the game as Homer Simpson in his underwear skin. And if I kill somebody, I have a SpongeBob dance I can do to haunt them.
Yeah, just to put the icing on the cake. Yeah. Now there's another game, mobile game that I've been playing for maybe like 5 years now. It's called Last Day on Earth, and it's like a zombie apocalypse game. It's open world to an extent, meaning that you're on a map and you can send your character to different places on the map. And within that map, for example, a factory or a farm, it's kind of open world, and you can run around and do what you got to do. And I think it is absolutely genius because it does what EA does so poorly, where it's kind of like, yeah, it's like you can finish the farm level with the zombies by collecting wood and rocks in the forest for, 7 hours. Or for 50 cent, we'll give you this rifle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, okay, that for me, that kind of monetization of the gaming world, that makes sense because it's not like they're saying for $10. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're like, hey, for 20 cent or 50 cent, you can get this rifle and it'll help you just do this. But it doesn't fully help you. You still actually have to do some, world exploring and learn about what's going on. It's kind of like supplemental, you know what I mean? That's a game I really do recommend everybody to check out is Last Day on Earth on mobile. I think you can play it on PC as well, and that's really great.
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but it isn't actually one I've played yet. The Last of Us was one that really pulled me in, but I don't think I'm ever going to revisit.
It's basically The Walking Dead meets The Last of Us meets Age of Empires. You know what I mean? Because like you can actually build a great base there. You know what I mean? So it has everything, and it's one of those games where, like I said, I started playing it 5 years ago, but I can go a year without playing it and come back, and my guy is still there in his underpants. Like, okay, we're trying to get you some clothes. You know, like
I
I
just
had a
started,
good one for medium. I better buy you some stuff.
I just started playing this game called Ghosts of Yotai, which is a sequel to one I played a few years ago over the pandemic, and I'm finding myself a little bit frustrated by the advancements it's made. Like, the games have gotten to a point where you have to worry about cooking food for your character and every little resource that they have and how it plays into their energy. And in the previous iteration of this game, it was very, very dense and detailed, the world, but not having to worry about food and shit like that was nice. Once you start having to focus on all of those different dynamics, it can be a little bit frustrating. And I think that something I really miss about the pandemic was that it felt like a built-in excuse to play all these games that are just the ultimate time vacuums. Like, I'd been very resistant to playing Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn
I
before
want
that.
to come back to this because the reason why I want to come back to this, I want to go for a quick pee break because I'm into what you're saying, so I want to come back and listen to it properly. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be thinking about going to the toilet too much, and I
Okay.
want to listen. I'll be back in a second.
Let's see how effectively I can monologue for you folks. Does anybody have any questions that they've been dying to ask me? Or Peter, and I can try to answer on his behalf. This is what the kind of entertainment that I can offer. You can also watch me as I drink my coffee and you see the energy seep into my veins, which I imagine is pretty exciting. You can also hear my exciting rendition of the Jeopardy theme. It goes do 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 do.
Okay, I'm back.
Did you hear my Jeopardy rendition?
No, I didn't. No, because I knew you're about to get into it, and I was like, I need to be able to listen to you properly without having to think about going to the bathroom. So I have to run quickly.
I'd like to think that I provided a semi-adequate monologue for the viewers in the that intermission.
But you mentioned this game, and you said like you're getting kind of, I don't know, exasperated because like you got to kind of root for your character, and I get that. But what game was it? Because I missed that part.
Ghosts of Yotai, which is the sequel to Ghosts of Tsushima,
Ghost of Yotai. How can I play that game?
PS5.
Ah, shit, man. I gotta buy a PS5. I gotta buy a PS5.
I'm kind of impressed with how long that thing's already been out. Like, they still feel like a bit of a commodity, but we're only a year or two away from the PlayStation 6 now.
Well, even though we're only a year or two away from the PS6, I'm still very much open to getting a PS5 because we've gotten to a point where I think when I buy a PS5, it's going to be at a price that's digestible.
Yeah.
And also and it also means I can buy the games of the last 10 years that I've been fawning over, such as Red Dead Redemption, Assassin's Creed, the last GTA, and hopefully I'll be able to play the new GTA on it. That's a big deal for us.
Yeah.
Because even my wife, who's a huge SimCity fan, she's like, we need to get a PS5 because we need to do the Red Dead Redemption storyline. You know, I think Red Dead Redemption. I think it's like, I don't know like where to place it in the realm of video games, but I think it's up there just for the sheer, I don't know, the beauty of the game. I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or I think that's what it's called, the second Assassin's Creed, I think that came very close to like art.
Yeah.
in the video game world. Like Final Fantasy had it, but like Assassin's Creed, you could actually like stop the mission and say, forget the mission. I'm going to go and climb this ancient, building, and I'll enjoy that, And I think the only other game that kind of has that, besides GTA, but when it comes to beauty, is Red Dead Redemption.
Well, that's another one of those games that kind of similarly as this new one is so dauntingly enormous that I've had a hard time committing. I remember one of my I think the last time I tried playing the game, I was wandering around and ended up wandering so far that it would have taken like 2 real world hours to navigate back to where I needed to be in game, and didn't yet have any like fast travel unlocked yet. So I'm just like, I looked up like a video or a guide on how to get from point A to point B, and I'm just like, oh my God, they really want me to go on a whole ass trek here. And I think that was my
They
last
literally
experience with that.
want to go like from like Montana to California,
Right, right.
like in real time. Yeah,
I
but
love.
that's one of the beauties of those games, because it's like I think that's their way of making you do the mission, and then it's like, hey, when you finish the mission, then you can just go off and be a schutz and just enjoy the world.
Have you seen any of those videos where people actually hook their game up to like treadmills and like exercise equipment, so that to get from point A to point B in game requires them to like actually real world walk like 3 miles?
Me, does that actually happen?
Yeah, there are people who've done this. I should pull up a video for you.
Oh, no, I never heard that at all. No, I mean, well, I did have this kind of one kind. Well, it is a little bit off like topic, but there was this kind of. I remember I wrote this like article like a year or two ago about Gen Zers. Like my wife is like a Gen Zer, and about like how they approach games,
Mhm.
And I think like the era of judging people on how they play games is like over.
Yeah.
Like you just can't, because like I'm a millennial, so I think the way I approach games is kind of maybe adventurous and trying to make sense of the world. I don't know, but like whatever thing I do in the gaming world, but it would be for someone else to decide what I do as a millennial in the gaming world. But for me, as an observer watching her play games, as a Gen X, a Gen Zer, it's kind of like she's like spends her day in chaos, and the world is in chaos, and everything's fucking chaos. And when she comes home to play a game, whilst I'm playing zombies and football, she's playing a game where she's in a simulation. And in that simulation, her one job is to stack shelves in a supermarket. Do you know what I mean? And I used to kind of make fun of it, but I was like, no way, that's like super relaxing. Do you know what I mean?
It's the
For
exact
someone
exactly the void that the new Animal Crossing game fulfilled right around the pandemic. It was like a month or two after Corona hit, where they came out with this new Animal Crossing game on this tropical island. It's like the most pleasant game in the series so far, and suddenly everybody is just like you say, just wasting time doing menial ass shit, collecting like grass and flowers to please the villagers on your island. That's not a great summation of the game. You can tell how little bit I played.
get too highbrow about it, but there's something very philosophical about it in a way, where it's kind of like it's like something I wasn't like making fun of, saying like, you're playing this game. Like I wasn't doing that, but I was kind of saying like, hey, what is this? That kind of thing. But then after a while, like when I was, sometimes you look at your partner and you kind of like observe them, and you're like, happy they're into your life, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm like, hang on a second. Her day is chaos. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's absolute chaos. And nothing happens the way she believes it should happen, or the way it really should happen in the world. As in, like, you get a job.
yeah.
And because you have this job, you then get a bank loan. And then because you get a bank loan, then you can do this XYZ and you follow this thing. None of that happens. But in this simulation world where you stock shelves, it's kind of like you are placing order in the world or whatever. And apparently it's like a huge thing. So many people love this game online.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're just stocking shelves. And I used to do that when I was a kid. And I hated it.
Yeah, sometimes something I really like about open world games is that you can really just ignore all objectives and just like slowly pan the camera around sometimes, and it's just a very relaxing escapist experience. I do that a lot. Like last night, I was just appreciating an in-game sunset. And another thing I really appreciate about these open world games is I feel like they can kind of, especially during these winter months, kind of trick your body into feeling like you're getting more sunlight and adventure than you actually are. Um, if I really do feel like it makes a difference for me. Like I fall back on these games a lot more in the winter time than I do in the summer. But I should mention that I've got a fair amount that I'm trying to get done before this new year, so I don't have an extremely long time to talk. But let's definitely do.
Jump on, okay?
Yeah, we'll definitely do more of these in the future. It's always nice talking to you, and I hope the holidays and New Year festivities are treating you well, brother.
You too, dude. Great to see you.
You too, man.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Peace, dude.
Oh. Did I talk to 3 people? Okay, I'm going to do some writing. I've got one right now, and I don't know what to do with it. It's called 5 Reasons Christopher Nolan is a Bad Joke. It'll be on Substack, but first it'll be on Medium. The subtitle is, if you're not reading this on the newest iPhone or Mac, you're missing out. And basically, I try and say why Christopher Nolan is overrated. But the problem is, as I'm writing it, even though it's funny, I actually really like Christopher Nolan. So I kind of feel like a hack writing it, even though like what I'm writing, I feel like is true. So that's like, if anyone has like any writing advice right now for this, that'd be great. It goes like this. Did you hear the news? Christopher Nolan has a new movie coming out, and guess what? It's in IMAX. Coincidentally, I have a new article coming out written on a Mac, so you know it's good. If you can't already tell, I'm sick to the teeth of the glazing this man gets. Nolan isn't a bad director. Blah, blah, blah. Just the brand about IMAX, Kodak, everything like that. And the problem is like after I wrote it, I've been kind of looking at like YouTube videos, and a lot of people kind of saying the same stuff. Yeah, so that's something I'm working on right now, and I don't know if I'll even publish it, even though it's like 100% finished. Does anybody have any tips on how to critique Christopher Nolan? But like with every critique, there's also a bit of love, because to be honest, like I do love his movies, but they're just a bit. I just think the glazing he gets from the fan base is a bit much. And also, if we haven't, because I have you all here, there's 43 people, so I might as well use you before I lose you. I've got a new one that I'm trying to submit right now before it goes on Substack, called Greenland is the NATO Test We're Failing, or How a $2 Book Taught Me About History. And it is basically about how the USA has become more threatening to Europe, or has the potential to become more threatening to Europe than even Russia. And I know Russia has an active war in the European theater, but that active war isn't taking place with a NATO member or an EU member. But at the same time, America is hasn't ruled out taking Greenland, which is a NATO member and a member of the European Union, by force. So there's kind of like an article that I'm writing about that, that I'm waiting for editors to get back on me. So if anyone wants to type their thoughts on that. But I don't really have anything else to say. Thanks everyone for dropping in. I thought I'd just add in those kind of like extra points there. Maybe we could talk about it for a while before I head off to bed. But yeah, that's it. Thanks so much everyone for coming in, and I will see you next time. I think in 2 days I'll be talking to David McElroy about movies. So tune in for that. So what day is today? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll be talking around this time. See you soon. Bye bye.